Walk into any casino at 3 in the morning. The lights are still blazing, the bells are still ringing, and somewhere on that floor, a player is feeding dollar after dollar into a machine that was never going to pay them back. Not today, not tomorrow, maybe not ever. They don't know it yet, but they're sitting at what insiders call a tight slot. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Casinos don't just randomly place these machines around the floor. Every single placement is calculated. Every payout percentage is programmed, and every decision about which machines go where is designed with one goal in mind: to keep you playing longer. I've spent years studying casino operations, talking to former slot technicians, and analyzing the mathematics behind these machines. And what I've learned is that the casino floor isn't just a place where luck happens. It's a carefully engineered system. A system built on information asymmetry. You're playing a game where the other side knows all the rules, and you don't. But that changes today. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 things casinos don't want you to know about tight slots. Not theories, not myths, real insider knowledge that changes how you see every machine on that floor. Some of this might surprise you, some of it might frustrate you, but all of it is information that casinos would prefer you never learned. Because when players understand how tight slots actually work, they start making different decisions, smarter decisions. And that's exactly what we're about to do. Let's begin. Here's something you need to understand right from the start. When you walk onto a casino floor, nothing is there by accident. Not the carpet pattern, not the lighting, and definitely not where they put the slot machines. Casinos spend millions studying player behavior. They know where you look first when you enter the building. They know which paths you take to the bathroom. They even know how long you'll stand in one spot before you get bored and move on. And they use all of that information to decide where the tight slots go. Let's start with the most obvious location, the machines right near the entrance. You'd think these would be loose machines, right? A way to draw people in with the sound of jackpots and winning. That's what most players assume. But here's what actually happens. Casinos put moderately tight machines near the entrance. Not the tightest on the floor, but definitely below average. Why? Because these machines get seen by everyone. People walking in, people walking out, people passing through. The casino wants activity in these spots. They want lights flashing and people sitting down. But they don't want to give away their highest payouts in the most visible real estate on the floor. Think about it like retail. You don't put your loss leaders in the front window. You put your profit drivers there. The same logic applies near the casino cage. This is where players go to cash out their winnings. And while they're standing in line, they're looking at the machines nearby. Maybe they'll play a few spins while they wait. Casinos know this, so they place tight slots right there. Because players in this area are either killing time or playing with house money they just won somewhere else. Either way, the casino has a psychological edge. Then there's the buffet line, the sportsbook area. Anywhere people gather and wait. Tight slots, all of them. But here's where it gets really calculated. The machines on the main walkways, the ones you see as you move through the casino, these are programmed to hit just enough to keep them occupied. Not enough to be generous, just enough to create the appearance of action. It's theater, visual noise designed to make the entire floor feel alive and winnable. Meanwhile, the truly loose machines, the ones with better payout percentages, are hidden, tucked away in corners, placed in areas where only regular players go. Because the casino doesn't need to advertise those machines. The players who know about them will find them. Everyone else will sit down at the first available machine they see, which is almost always a tight one. And here's the part that really matters.
You can't tell the difference just by looking. A tight slot and a loose slot look identical. Same graphics, same sounds, same flashing lights. The only difference is the code running inside. Every slot machine in every casino is controlled by something called a PAR sheet. PAR stands for Probability Accounting Report, and it's the single most important document that determines whether you win or lose. Here's what it contains: the exact payout percentage of the machine, the probability of hitting every symbol combination, the frequency of bonus rounds, the volatility level. Everything that matters about how that machine behaves is written down in this document. And casinos treat PAR sheets like classified military intel. They're kept in locked offices. Access is restricted to upper management and gaming regulators. If a slot technician needs to work on a machine, they get the information they need, and nothing more. The full PAR sheet stays locked away. Why all the secrecy? Because if players knew what actually was in those documents, they'd never play certain machines. Let me give you an example. Two identical-looking machines sitting side by side on the casino floor. Same manufacturer, same game theme, same denomination. But machine A has an 88% payout rate, and machine B has a 94% payout rate. That 6% difference means everything. Over time, it's the difference between losing $88 per 100 or losing just $6 per 100. But you'd never know which machine is which. There's no label, no disclosure, no way to tell unless you have access to the PAR sheet. And casinos like it that way. Now here's where things get even more deliberate. In many jurisdictions, casinos are required to maintain a certain average payout percentage across all their slot machines, let's say 90%. But here's the catch. That's an average, which means the casino can set some machines at 85% and others at 95%. And as long as the average hits 90%, they're in compliance. So what do? They put the 95% machines in low traffic areas, the kinds of places where experienced players tend to go. And they put the 85% machines everywhere else. The vast majority of players end up on the tight machines, but mathematically the casino can say they're offering fair odds. It's technically legal, but it's also deliberately misleading. And the only reason it works is because of that PAR sheet secrecy. If every machine had a sticker showing its payout percentage, players would gravitate toward the better machines. The casino floor would look completely different. Entire sections would sit empty, while other areas would have lines. But that's never going to happen. Because the moment casinos lose information asymmetry, they lose their edge. And they're not willing to give that up. So the PAR sheets stay locked away. And the players keep guessing, which is exactly how the casino wants it. Here's a question most players never think to ask. Does a penny slot pay out the same percentage as a dollar slot? The answer is no, and the gap is bigger than you think. Casinos program their machines based on denomination. The lower the denomination, the tighter the machine. The higher the denomination, the looser it tends to be. On the surface, this might seem fair. After all, someone betting $1 per spin is risking more than someone betting a penny, so maybe they deserve better odds. But here's what casinos don't advertise. Penny slots often have payout percentages in the low 80s, sometimes even lower. Meanwhile, $5 or higher denomination machines can have payout rates above 95%. That's a massive gap, and most players have no idea it exists.
So why do casinos do this? Because penny slots are volume machines. They're designed to attract casual players who want to stretch their bankroll and play for a long time. These players aren't betting big, but they're sitting at the machine for hours. And over hours, even small bets add up. The casino doesn't need to win big on each spin. They just need to win consistently. And with an 85% payout rate, they're keeping 15 cents on every dollar wagered. Multiply that by thousands of spins across hundreds of machines, and you're talking about serious profit. Now let's talk about the flip side, high-denomination machines. These are typically played by more experienced gamblers, people who understand variance and bankroll management, people who might walk away if the machine feels too tight. So the casino loosens these machines up, not out of generosity, but because they need to keep these players engaged. A high roller who loses too quickly will leave, and the casino would rather have them playing at 95% payback than not playing at all. But here's the trap. Most players assume that moving up in denomination automatically gives them better odds, and technically that's true, but it also means they're risking more per spin. Let's do the math. If you're playing a penny slot machine at 85% payback and you're betting 50 cents per spin, you're losing about 7.5 cents per spin on average. If you move up to a dollar machine at 94% payback and you're betting $3 per spin, you're losing 18 cents per spin. Better odds, but bigger losses. And that's the deception. Casinos market higher denomination machines as if they're a smarter choice. And in terms of pure payout percentage, they are. But unless you're betting the same total amount per spin, you could actually be losing money faster. It's a psychological trick. Players feel like they're playing smarter by moving up, but unless they adjust their bet size accordingly, they're just bleeding their bankroll at a different rate. The casino wins either way. Low denomination, high volume, low payout. Or high denomination, lower volume, better payout, but bigger bets. The house edge is always there, it just wears a different disguise. You're sitting at a slot machine, the real spin, and they land like this. Jackpot symbol, blank. So close. You almost won the big prize, just one symbol away. Your brain interprets this as a near success, and it tells you to try again. But here's what you need to know. That near miss wasn't random. It was programmed. Slot machines use something called virtual reel mapping. This is where the visible symbols on the physical reels don't actually correspond to the probabilities inside the machine's code. Let me explain how this works. A physical slot reel might have 20 symbols on it, but inside the machine's software, there's a virtual reel with hundreds of possible stops. Each physical symbol is mapped to multiple virtual stops. So a blank symbol might appear once on the physical reel, but it could be mapped to 50 virtual stops. Meanwhile, the jackpot symbol appears once on the physical reel, but it's only mapped to 2 virtual stops. What this means is that even though the jackpot symbol and the blank look equally likely when you watch the reel spin, they're not. The blank is 25 times more likely to land. And casinos program these machines to show you the jackpot symbol in positions right next to where it would actually win. This creates the illusion that you were close, that you almost hit it, that the next spin might be the one. But mathematically, you were never close. The outcome was determined the moment you pressed the button. The spinning reels are just for show. The symbols landing where they land is pure animation. You are always going to lose that spin. But by showing you a near miss, the machine keeps you engaged. It triggers the same reward pathways in your brain that a real win would. Not as strong, but strong enough to keep you playing. And the data backs this up. Studies have shown that players stay at machines longer when they experience frequent near misses. They interpret them as a sign that the machine is ready to pay, that it's warming up, that they're due for a win. But the machine isn't warming up. It's just cycling through its programmed outcomes. And those near misses, they're as deliberate as the payout percentage itself. Here's the really unsettling part. Some jurisdictions have actually banned near-miss programming. They recognize it as a manipulative tactic that exploits cognitive biases, but enforcement is inconsistent. And even in places where it's technically not allowed, the line between a true near-miss and a random outcome that just happens to look close is hard to define. So the practice continues. And every time you see those reels stop just one symbol away from a big win, remember this. It's not luck. It's code. If you could see a casino floor the way management sees it, you notice something strange. It's divided into invisible zones. Each one has a purpose. Each one targets a different type of player, and each one has a different tolerance for payout. Let me walk you through them. Zone 1 is what insiders call the tourist zone. This is the front section of the casino, the areas closest to the main entrance, the buffet, and the attractions. It's where casual players tend to congregate, and the slots here are tight. Not the tightest on the floor, but below average. Why? Because these players aren't gambling as their primary activity. They're visiting, they're eating, they're walking through on their way to a show. The casino doesn't expect them to play for hours, so they program these machines to win quickly and move on. Zone 2 is the mid-floor. This is where you find the bulk of the slot machines, the endless rows of identical games that all seem to blend together. This is where most players spend most of their time. And the payout rates here are mixed. Some machines are average, some are slightly below, a few are slightly above. It's just enough variance to create the illusion of fairness. But on average, this zone pays out less than you'd hope and more than the tourist zone. It's the grind zone. The casino makes steady, predictable profit here. Zone 3 is the high limit area. This is usually a separate section, sometimes behind glass walls or velvet ropes. The machines here start at $5 a spin and go up from there.
And these machines are programmed looser, not because the casino is being generous, but because high-limit players are sophisticated. They track their results, they understand variance, and they'll leave if the machine feels too tight. So the casino gives them better odds. Not great odds, just better. Enough to keep them playing, enough to make them feel like they have a chance. Zone 4 is the most interesting. It's what some technicians call the honeypot zone. These are the machines tucked away in corners, the ones that aren't on the main floor, the ones you have to actively look for. And these machines often have the best payout rates on the entire floor. Why would a casino do this? Because they're banking on the fact that most players will never find them. These machines are for the regulars, the locals, the people who've been coming to this casino for years and know where the good machines are hidden. The casino keeps these players happy because they're reliable. They come back. They bring friends. They generate long-term value. But they represent a tiny fraction of the overall player base. Everyone else is playing in zones 1, 2, or 3, and those zones are where the real money is made. The lesson here is simple. Where you play matters as much as what you play. A machine in the tourist zone might look identical to one in the honeypot zone, but the code inside is completely different. And unless you know which zone you're in, you're playing blind. There's an old gambling myth that refuses to die. Slots pay better late at night, or early in the morning, or during slow times when the casino needs to attract players. The idea is that casinos remotely adjust payout rates throughout the day to manipulate traffic. Let me be clear, that's not how it works. Modern slot machines can't have their payout percentages changed remotely in real time. It's not just illegal in most jurisdictions, it's technically prohibited by gaming regulations. Any change to a machine's par sheet requires documentation, regulatory approval, and in many cases, a physical chip swap inside the machine itself. Casinos can't just flip a switch and make machines looser at 3 a.m. But here's where things get complicated. Even though casinos aren't changing payout rates throughout the day, player behavior does change.
And that creates patterns that look like the machines are behaving differently. Late at night, there are fewer players on the floor, which means the same number of jackpots and winning spins are distributed among fewer people. So it can feel like the machines are hitting more often. It's not that the odds changed, it's that the sample size did. Similarly, during busy weekend nights, the floor is packed. More people are playing, more people are losing, and the few people who are winning get lost in the noise. The machines are behaving exactly the same, but the perception shifts. There's another factor most players don't consider. Tired players make worse decisions. At 2 a.m., people who've been gambling for hours are exhausted. They're chasing losses. They're betting bigger than they should. They're ignoring the signs that it's time to stop. And when you're making poor decisions, the house edge compounds. So, even though the machine's payout percentage hasn't changed, your expected loss increases because you're playing recklessly. The casino doesn't need to tighten the machines. You're tightening them yourself through bad bankroll management. Now here's the one thing casinos do adjust based on time. Promotions. During slow periods, they'll run events, free play offers, drawings, tournaments, anything to get bodies in the building. And some of these promotions do effectively increase your expected return, not because the machines pay better, but because you're getting additional value on top of your normal play. But the machines themselves, they're running the same program at 3 a.m. that they were running at 3 p.m. The myth persists because people remember the anomalies, the late-night jackpot, the early morning hot streak, but they forget all the times they played those same hours and lost. Confirmation bias dressed up as insider knowledge. The truth is simpler and less comforting. The machines don't care what time it is. So there you have it. 6 things casinos don't advertise about tight slots. Strategic placement designed to maximize visibility while protecting profit. Par sheets locked away to maintain information asymmetry. Denomination-based programming that penalizes casual players. Near-miss algorithms that manipulate your perception of closeness. Invisible floor zones that separate tourists from regulars. And time-of-day myths that distract from the real math. None of this means you shouldn't play slots, but it does mean you should play informed. Understand that every machine on that floor is programmed with a purpose. Every placement is calculated. Every decision the casino makes is designed to keep you playing longer and betting more. The house always has an edge. That's not going to change. But when you know how that edge is constructed, you can make smarter choices about where you play, how much you bet, and when to walk away. Knowledge doesn't guarantee you'll win, but it does guarantee you won't be playing blind. And sometimes that's the most valuable thing you can bring to the casino floor.